Well, we've got two other issues with Biden. Number one is failed record, the economic record of Biden and Obama. I won't regurgitate my statistics. Then we've got the Iranian deal, dropping $150 billion in cash and other currencies on the tarmac and for the mullahs of Iran. Then you've got this whole issue of Peter Schweizer. I know this came up at a little rift that went on between Fox News, Steve Hilton, and Brit Hume, but he has problems with, the sensitive tech issues with China, and it's all chronicled in Peter Schweizer's book, who joins us now. It's always great to have Peter back. He's the author of Secret Empires. And
I'm doing great, Sean. How are you?
I want you to explain two particular issues. John Solomon has hit this Ukraine issue really hard. You hit the China issue really hard. Combined, it shows a family that has enriched itself while he was vice president, and taking advantage of that position to the point where he was willing to withhold American monies in aid to Ukraine unless they fired the guy that was investigating his own son.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Sean. Joe Biden becomes vice president in 2008 to President Barack Obama, and he's got his son, Hunter Biden, who really, his professional background is basically he worked for a credit card company, and then he was a lobbyist for online gambling companies. What he did was he set up a private equity firm and said, I'm now in the investment business. And Sean, this guy with no background in China, no background in Ukraine, really no background in private equity, lands these massive deals overseas while his father's vice president. One of them is with Ukraine, as you talked about. His father is the point person for Obama administration policy towards Ukraine, which means he's steering about $1.8 billion of U.S. aid. If Joe Biden says you don't get the aid, they don't get the aid. And lo and behold, Ukrainian corrupt oligarch says, you know what, we're going to put the vice president's son on the payroll. And so they put him on the payroll of a natural gas company. So let's add to the list Hunter Biden has no background in energy policy either. Puts him on the payroll and pays Hunter Biden, the son of the sitting vice president, $83,000 a month, basically to do nothing. And as this oligarch who's paying Joe Biden's son is under Ukrainian investigation, Joe Biden, the vice president, tells the Ukrainians, if you do not fire the prosecutor who's looking into this oligarch who hired my son, I'm going to withdraw and withhold $1 billion worth of aid. And there's actually an audio tape of him saying that.
I got the audio tape right here. We are prepared when Peter Schweizer shows up. Now, the vice president is in Ukraine. His son is under investigation. The president is supposed to turn over $1 billion in aid to Ukraine, and he uses taxpayer dollars, your money, as leverage to get the prosecutor investigating his son Hunter off the case and literally demand he gets fired. And then later he brags about it.
I said, we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting $1 billion. I said, you're not getting $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a got fired.
Son of a. So he leverages American tax dollars, and how much money a month was he making? $83,000 a month? For how long?
Right. That's right.
How long did that go on for?
Up until about 4 or 5 months ago. So he's made net several $1 million from the Ukrainians alone. Now add to that, Sean, go halfway around the world.
Can I ask you, does he have any knowledge, background, experience to do any of these things, or no?
No. And his job, by the way, when he was hired by this energy company, it was to do regulatory compliance in the Ukraine for this energy company. I mean, that assumes that he knows anything about energy. There's nothing in his background. And that he knows something about Ukrainian regulations. I would dare say Hunter Biden probably doesn't know much about that either. And that's not why he was hired. Everybody knows why Hunter Biden was hired. It's just that the Bidens don't want to admit it.
Let's go to the issue that you chronicled really well in your book, and It is amazing all these guys go to Washington. They're not paid the kind of money that would make one a millionaire. You know, what is the average congressional salary today? $175,000. I don't even know what it is.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
But then you have to pay for where you live, and then you have other expenses. So it's not a position where you become a millionaire. But interestingly, a lot of these politicians, they're there a long time. They end up being millionaires. How does that happen?
Well, they end up being millionaires, or they set their kids up to be millionaires, which is what Joe Biden has done. And we just talked about Ukraine. You go halfway around the world to Beijing, China, and what you find is there was a big payday for Hunter Biden there as well. The good news here, Sean, is we broke this story on your radio and TV programs last year. Just a couple of days ago, Senator Grassley, the chairman of the Senate Finance Committee, has asked the Treasury Secretary, Mnuchin, to investigate these deals because he's concerned about certain approvals that were given by the Obama administration of financial transactions involving Hunter Biden and the Chinese. But in a nutshell, Sean, what they basically did was Hunter Biden flew over on Air Force Two with his dad in December of 2013. They were there for a couple of days. 10 days after they returned, it was announced that Hunter Biden's small private equity firm, Rosemont Seneca Partners...
Let me slow down. Does he have any background or experience in the type of business you're about to describe that made him rich?
None. No background in China, no background in private equity. And they get $1 billion deal that later becomes a $1.5 billion deal. And to tell you how weird this is, Sean, the deal was unique in a lot of ways, but it was unique in that it was through the Shanghai Free Trade Zone, allowed them to take money in and out. This was a deal that nobody else on the face of the earth had. Not Goldman Sachs, not JP Morgan, not Bank of America, not Deutsche Bank. Small, tiny Rosemont Seneca Partners, which is run by Hunter Biden, got this deal from the Chinese government. And initially, we reported this last year, Sean, and the Biden said this is ridiculous, it's not true. Now they've admitted that, yeah, okay, it is true, but there was nothing unusual about it, which is totally ridiculous. But this deal...
How much did he get paid on that deal?
Well, the problem is we don't know, right? We know because of the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians released the corporate records. We have the financial records that show how much the Ukrainians paid him. We don't know how much Hunter Biden got in this deal, and that's the problem. Because there's no disclosure requirements for the son of the vice president to say how much the Chinese government is paying him in this deal. But here's what's troubling. It's not just that Hunter Biden got wealthy doing this and that Joe Biden has suddenly become soft on China. It's that the whole purpose of this investment fund that now Hunter Biden is a partner in is to buy high-tech companies in the United States, some of which create dual-use technologies that benefit the Chinese military. And this is one of the things that Senator Grassley wants Treasury to look into. For example, this new fund that was created called Bulleye Harvest, Hunter Biden was on the board. His business partner, Devin Archer, was the vice chairman of the investment committee. They bought a Michigan company called Henniges that produces very high-tech anti-vibration technologies that have applications to the automobile industry, but also to military technologies. Their investment fund, financed by the Chinese government, bought Henniges, along with a Chinese aviation company that's run by the Chinese military.
The Chinese military that is hostile towards the U.S. All right, stay right there. Peter Schweizer is with us. A lot of this information is in his latest book called Secret Empires. All of this corruption, all of this enrichment by all of these people and using the access even with our enemy countries. Oh, you get what you want as long as you let my kids make money. Unbelievable.